Right, are you comfortable? Good, I will begin. Over 40 years in Thailand, 4 decades of sticky rice, searing sun, and the incomprehensible kindness. I came for the peace, you see, the simplicity, to escape the drizzle and the drama of Blighty for a life, and eventually a quiet retirement in Isaan. What a glorious, naive fool I was. Because the one storm system more unpredictable than an English summer, more convoluted than the London Underground, and more enduring than my suspicion of avocado, is the bewildering, baffling, downright Byzantine spectacle of Thai politics. It makes the Brexit debates look like a well-organised parish council meeting about a new rose garden. After all this time, I understand precisely less than when I started. Nevertheless, this is the story of my enduring baffled affection. When I first arrived, brimming with the colonial era maps and a Western liberal arts education, I thought I had it sussed. Charming constitutional monarchy, the book said, developing democracy. I envisaged a tidy, if occasionally wobbly, progression. Votes, governments, oppositions, the usual shuffle. That illusion shattered faster than a terracotta pot dropped from a 3rd floor Bangkok balcony. My first real clue was the television. I remember one of those events unfolding in '92, sitting in my friend's shop in Bangkok, watching the news with the sound down, and him just pointing at the screen and saying softly, "Big problem, Bob." And that was the entire briefing. Not the content, mind you, the colour. Suddenly, everyone on the street was wearing a specific shade. Not a fashion trend, but a tribal allegiance. Then the tanks, not rumbling past in a historic parade, but parked casually outside the supermarket, as if they had just popped out for a pint of milk and a coup. It was not an arbitration, it was a feature. My tidy narrative was in tatters. What you learn, if you pay attention for more than 5 minutes, is that Thai politics is not a line moving forward. It is a meticulously choreographed, endless, repeating cycle. It goes like this, and do feel free to sing along with me. A period of fraught, noisy democracy brimming with promise and corruption in equal measure. Tensions rise, the air gets thick, then an intervention. Always such a polite word for men with guns, rearranging the government. A period of order, a new constitution is drafted as thick as a brick and designed to prevent the last problem, but always sowing the seeds for the next. A managed return to the polls. Rinse, repeat. It defies the Western idea of political evolution. It is not a journey from A to B. It is a very elegant, very tense waltz on a roundabout. On top of that, the kingdom, the monarchy. To discuss it in a blunt, Westminster-style terms is to miss the point entirely. It is not about power. It is a crude legislative sense. It is about psyche, history, and a pillar of unity so profound it is in the air you breathe. Its influence is the ultimate silence in the room, a silence respected, revered, and politically deafening. It shapes events not through edict, but through atmosphere. Understanding Thai politics without grasping this celestial gravity is like trying to understand a tide without acknowledging the moon. Utterly pointless. This feeds into everything. Concepts like Gunjai, that intricate dance of deference, of not causing offence, of avoiding confrontation. In public discourse, it means things are often left unsaid. Disagreement is vowed, criticism is oblique. A Thai smile can mean joy, apology, embarrassment, or seething frustration. Trying to explain a political statement without this filter is like reading a book where all the most important words have been carefully erased. Besides, the spaces between the spoken words operate the real power brokers, old money families, business cartels, senior military cliches, bureaucratic old guards. They are the permanent civil service of power, while the elected politicians are, well, temporary interns, often of questionable influence. The real game is often in the back rooms of Bangkok's elite clubs, not on the floor of the parliament. Which brings us inevitably to the men in green, the military. Their interventions are not coups in the Latin American sense. They are more like a stern, paternalistic reset button, the nation's self-appointed stabilizers. The problem, of course, is that hitting the reset button every few years means the machine never really gets to run properly. It creates a curious paradox, a deeply patriotic nation where one of the most trusted institutions is also the one that periodically cancels the popular vote. What's more, when the army is not centre stage, the street is. Good heavens, the protests. They are a Thai political tradition as vibrant as Songkran. From the idealistic students to the 70s to the kaleidoscope chaos of the red shirts and yellow shirts, mass movements that are part political party, part social class revolt, part festival. They are the explosive release of pressures when the Gunjai finally breaks. Bangkok streets become the nation's battleground, parliament and theatre all at once. Then there is the money. Vast fortunes are won or lost on the political outcomes. A policy on rice subsidies, a mining concession, a mass transit line. These are not just policies, they are multi-billion pound currents shifting beneath the surface of the political sea. The billionaire who becomes Prime Minister is not a quirk, it is a logical feature of the system. Besides, from my veranda here in Isaan, the view is different. Bangkok is not Thailand. It is a brilliant, bloated, captivating city-state. The concerns out here, the price of cassava, water for the fields, a decent road to the hospital, are a world away from the ideological clashes at Siam Square. This rural-urban divide is not just a difference of opinion, it is a fundamental fault line that every political earthquake rumbles along. What's more, my friends, is why after 40-odd years I throw my hands up. You cannot apply a Westminster or Washington manual here. It is all a sublime puppet show. Nevertheless, just as you think you have identified the puppets, the politicians, the stagehands, the generals, and the audience, the people, you realise with a start that the puppets are occasionally manipulating the strings of the stagehands. The audience has stormed the stage to become puppets themselves, and the original puppet master is actually a revered and silent artisan working from a script written centuries ago. What's more, everyone is smiling beautifully throughout. It is enough to give a grumpy old man a migraine. That is the ultimate paradox, the famous Thai smile, the surface Sanuk fun, the apparent calm. It masks a political landscape of profound depth and often fierce sentiment. The tensions are there, but they flow underground like rivers beneath the karst cliffs. They burst out occasionally in dramatic springs and then subside again, leaving the surface seemingly placid. To read the headlines alone is to miss 90% of the story. You must read the history, the hierarchy, the unspoken rules of face and respect. So, am I any wiser? Not a bit. Have I lost hope? Surprisingly, no. There is a perverse genius to it all. A frustrating, magnificent, uniquely Thai way of navigating the impossible task of balancing ancient tradition with modern aspirations, unity with diversity, order with freedom. It is messy, it is often unfair, and it is certainly not textbook. However, it is theirs. Besides, this country, for all its confounding political circuitry, has a stubborn, resilient heart. It absorbs the shocks, endures the cycles, and somehow keeps serving up the most magnificent plate of somtam you have ever tasted, right when you need it. My grumpy old English soul may never truly decipher the puzzle. However, I have learned to stop trying to solve it and simply appreciate the bizarre, captivating artwork that it is. From my quiet patch in Isaan, I will keep watching, keep baffled, and keep the kettle on for the next inevitable, inexplicable turn of events. Now, if you'll excuse me, my mango tree needs a stern talking to, and the gecko on the wall seems to be making more coherent political argument than most pundits I have heard. Although, upon reflection, perhaps I have been overcomplicating it. All this time trying to decipher the inscrutable East from my quiet patch of rice fields, only to glance back at the latest Westminster circus. Might it be that Thai politics, for all its cycles and silences, its tanks, its smiles, is simply a different and somewhat baffling political system? While the political theatre back in Blighty has become its own special, unfathomable category of absurdity. At least here the weather's better, the food is magnificent, and the contradictions come with a genuine smile. Perhaps the real lesson is this: the entire world has gone utterly mad. However, some places are far more pleasant to be confused and baffled. Right, your turn in the comments. Between the unspoken rules here and the shouted nonsense there, what is baffling you about the world today? Let us be confused together, shall we? Politely. Now, I must go and give my mango tree a stern talking to. Take care, and remember, life goes on. Bye bye.